The other day, a student, Ramon, came by the shop and we worked on creating rosettes. He brought with him some black limba and some kind of burl. Neither him nor me are really sure what this burl was, but it looked good, so we intended to use it. And you can see this rosette here. The white lines are maple purfling strips, and the black lines are dyed fiber strips. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what we did here to execute this cool-looking rosette. This rosette, by the way, is going on a classical guitar, so it's very non-traditional for classical guitars. And if you know anything about classical guitars and that world, going outside of the traditional is very taboo. So we're being a little bit blasphemous here, but I think it's cool, and it's the way Ramon wanted to go with it, so that's what we're doing. So once we had talked it out and landed on the general idea of what we wanted to do, which was a radial rosette with alternating black limba and burl segments, with all the radial segments framed in maple and the outside of the rosette itself framed in a thin black fiber strip. And so the first thing we're doing here is using the radial rosette maker jig to cut out the individual segments of burl and black limba. And as Ramon cuts out these segments, he's keeping track of the order that they are pulled from the wood, so that as we assemble it in a circle, we can determine the best order of the alternating pieces based on where they came out, what pieces they were adjacent to when they were cut from the wood. As Ramon assembles the individual pieces, he checks the fit of each one carefully and adjusts it if needed with a hand plane and a makeshift mini shooting board like you see here. You want the tapered fit of each individual piece to be just perfect. The maple purfling strips are also included in this fitting process and wedged in with each piece and glued in place as he goes. Next, taking a look at the template that Ramon has for his classical guitar, we're going to base some dimensions for the inside radius and the outside radius of our rosette based off of the sound hole dimension. Now, with those dimensions on hand, Ramon can begin cutting out the rosette. Ramon makes the outside cut first because if he were to make the inside cut first, he would actually separate his entire rosette from the clamp, leaving him unable to make the outside cut. It's the kind of thing that seems obvious in retrospect, but as you're doing it, it's very easy to accidentally make that inside cut first. And Ramon is, of course, making this cut very carefully and in multiple passes, only going down a little bit at a time with each pass, rather than trying to cut through the full thickness of the rosette in one go. Okay, so that outside cut is complete. Now it's time to adjust the diameter of the circle cutting jig for the inside cut. And now Ramon is routing the channel for the rosette to fit in. We want this channel to be perfect, so he's going to start by routing between the inside diameter and the outside diameter, so somewhere in the middle of that zone where that rosette is going to be installed. This way, once that channel is down to depth, he can then work his way adjusting the diameter inward towards that inside edge and outward towards the outside edge very carefully so he can sneak up on a perfect fit. This beautiful top, by the way, that Ramon brought with him is redwood. And the rings on this are extremely tight, which is really good, which is pretty characteristic of redwood, but I think this piece is exceptionally tight-grained. So a great find for you there, Ramon. And now as we begin to get very close to our final width of channel, now begins the very sort of finicky process of test fitting our rosette piece and the fiber strips that are going to frame the outside of it. And then as you get up to the end here, just break it. And actually I did not break it enough, so fish that back out carefully. Break it a little bit more. Okay, and get that back on center. Also, as you're doing this, see how I came off center a little bit? And just be kind and gentle to the edge of your channel throughout all of this. Alright, so let me step in and give this a shot with these. So first, there's the outside. On your center there, looks good. So as this starts to get tight and lock in, it gets harder to then shift the whole thing over and get yourself back on center. Okay.
Here comes the line of death.
Yeah, this is the... And then getting that last one in, always tricky. Especially just the more like individual pieces you have in here, it becomes a bit more of a challenge. Okay. Through Dead Man's Curve there.
Yeah.
That was always getting us. Though now it's starting to feel a little tight here, but I think I can. It's already on right now.
Oh, it's already on.
We're live.
Ready?
Well, not live. Okay.
Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah, those were some excellent choices. Yeah, I think the lines were perfect. The maple and the black fiber strips.
That's amazing.
Ooh, look at that.
You see? Wow.
If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video every Friday. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaferguitars.com or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.